Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. How many times have all of us faced a frustrating and annoying situation where we are required to resize, rescale, or reduce the size of an image to meet a particular specification? Such a need is commonplace and can arise in many everyday tasks. For example, if we were filing an online application form, we can discover that there is a size limit for images that need to be uploaded. Or say, for example, maybe we are writing a blog post or creating a website and need to resize many pictures to the same width, height, or aspect such that images can be displayed aesthetically and the site loads quickly. Researchers submitting an article or research paper might be required to resize figures to a set width and height as required by the journal, or for that matter, you might have a presentation or document that has many heavy pictures that prevent it to be sent by email due to attachment size limits. Whatever the situation, the task of resizing or rescaling images can be very frustrating, especially when you don't know how to go about doing this quickly and accurately. Well, if this has ever been an issue for you, I have a great free solution that will solve this problem permanently. My name is Chinmay, and in this video, I will tell you how you can easily and quickly resize and rescale images in bulk in just a few seconds without loss of visual quality using a completely free and open source software called GIMP. The great thing about this solution is that you can do this completely offline on your own computer, and you don't have to worry at all about any privacy issues that might concern you if you were to use some online tool for the same job. Before we start, I would like to mention that this video is not a GIMP tutorial. Rather, I would just be demonstrating in GIMP only those features that relate to rescaling and resizing of images. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is to go to www.gimp, that is GIMP.org. Just open your browser and type in this address, so you will reach the GIMP website. And what we need to do now is to download GIMP and install it on our computers. The current version of GIMP is 2.10.34. If you already have GIMP on your computer and it's an older version, then this would be the right time to download GIMP once again and upgrade that older version. To download GIMP, just come here and click on download. And as you scroll down, you will see that GIMP is available for Linux, Mac OS, and also Windows. So if you're using Windows, all you need to do is to come here and click on this orange button, and GIMP will immediately start downloading on your computer. It's a 300 MB download. Once GIMP has been downloaded, just click on the downloaded file and install GIMP following screen instructions as you would normally do in installing any software. So after you have installed GIMP and started it, this is what you are going to see. There is a central area in GIMP where we will be working, and there is a small toolbox, and there are some other panels here. Now we need to install one plugin for GIMP, and for that we will have to go on to the plugin website and download the plugin. So let's do that. So the plugin is called as BIMP, and this is the website that you have to go to. I have provided a link to this website in the description below. So you can just simply click on that and reach this site. And you will see here that you have an installer for Windows and also an installer for Mac OS. So you can click on whichever operating system you are using. I'm currently using Windows. Just click on this button. And this is a very small file. And once you have downloaded the file, click on that downloaded file and install following screen instructions. Now it's very important that you first install GIMP and then download and install BIMP. The sequence is very important. After you've installed the BIMP plugin, and if your GIMP window was already open, you would need to restart GIMP once again. So once you start GIMP back again, when you click on the file menu, you will start seeing this option, batch image manipulation. So this is what the BIMP plugin does. It adds this option to the GIMP software. And this is indicative of the plugin being correctly installed. So once we are done with the installation of both these softwares, that is first installing GIMP and then subsequently installing the BIMP plugin, we are good to go, and we can now start working on rescaling and resizing our images. So let's do that. So for this tutorial, I have selected some images, and you can download these using the link in the description box below and follow along. So I'm just going to open the tutorial photos folder where I have a few images right here. So I'm going to first show you how you can rescale or resize one single image in GIMP. And then I will show you how you can resize or rescale a bunch of images inside the folder. You can select the entire folder and resize them all together in bulk. So let's start by just simply moving your mouse on top of each of these images. As you can see, the first image is 1920 by 1282, and it is 296 KB in size. As we move forward, you'll see a different dimension, only slightly different here, 1920 by 1280, and this is 712 KB in size. As we move forward, we see that this is a much larger image, having dimensions 4668 by 3607, and the size of this image, which is called as fishing boats, is 3.59 MB. So it's about 3.5 MB. And likewise, the other images are also slightly different in dimensions and size, 1920 by 1439. This one here, plain, is 2400 by 1600, and it is 640 KB. So each of these images are different in size, this one being 1920 by 1315. And the last one, train, is 1920 by 1484. And it has a size of 907 kilobytes. So each one of these are of different sizes and slightly different dimensions. I've chosen all images that have a wider aspect, that is, they are more wider than they are taller. But of course, you can choose any kind of image. In this collection, the fishing boats image is the one that has the largest dimensions, 4668 by 3607, and also the largest size. And the Cove image is the smallest one, having dimensions 1920 by 1280, and it has a size of 712 KB. In terms of size, this is not the smallest, but in terms of dimension, this is the smallest. So let's grab the largest image in the collection and just simply drag it and drop it in the canvas area of GIMP. So when you do that, more often than not, you are accosted with this screen, and it's asking you to choose between convert and keep. So if you look carefully, it's giving you some information and then asking you a question. The information that it is providing is that the image fishingboats.jpg has an embedded color profile, and it gives you a color profile sRGB with some numbers right here. So it's asking you whether we would like to convert the image to the built-in sRGB color profile, or would you like to keep the original color profile? So here we have to make a choice between convert and keep. And let me tell you the choice that we will make most of the time. We will just press the convert button. To explain why this is so, let me just digress for a few seconds and tell you a little bit about sRGB. So when a photo is taken using a camera, the camera by default captures images using the sRGB color mode, as you can see here, which is an industry standard spectrum of colors. The S in the sRGB stands for standard, and RGB refers to red, green, and blue, the three primary colors. The sRGB color mode was created to help ensure color consistency as an image moves from the camera or scanner to the monitor and printer. So as your camera captures an image and you want to display it on a monitor, or say, for example, if you wanted to print it on a printer, the image is actually moving from your camera to another display device. That is the display monitor or the printer. So the idea to create sRGB was to create a spectrum of colors that all these devices can actually reproduce. The sRGB color system, however, leaves out some colors that can be reproduced in print and on screen, at least by some devices. So as an alternative, many cameras also permit you to shoot in an alternative color mode, that is the Adobe RGB color mode, which is a more advanced color mode and which includes a larger spectrum of colors. Many cameras permit you to choose this color space, and in fact, many professional photographers prefer this color space, that is the Adobe RGB. The illustration that you are now seeing on the screen shows the difference between the sRGB and the Adobe RGB color spaces. And as you can see, that of the total color space available in the visible spectrum, Adobe RGB covers a wider range of colors as compared to the sRGB color space. I'm leaving a link in the description below in case you wish to read up more on this. So having said all that, long story short, unless you are aware of the specific color profile of the picture and plan to manipulate that particular color profile, it is recommended that you press the convert button and choose the sRGB color space. And that is exactly what we are going to do here. We are going to come here and click on the convert button. And the moment you do that, you will see your image inside the canvas of GIMP. So if you are ever asked this question to convert or to keep, more often than not, you just have to simply press the convert button. So once we have this image here inside GIMP and we want to resize it, all we need to do is to just simply come here. This is the GIMP toolbox right here. And as you hover your mouse over these icons, one of these icons is called as the scale tool. So you can just click on this icon here and then just simply bring your mouse cursor on top of the image. You will see that the cursor has changed, and you can just click once on this image. So you now start seeing all these handles, and there's a little information box here. So as you start resizing your image, you can see these dimensions will change. You will recall from before that the dimensions of this image are 4668 and the height of this image is 3607. And you can see this size on this ruler here. The image starts with 0. So as you move your cursor along inside the image, you will see that there's a little pointer on the ruler that is moving. And you will see that this image is 4668 pixels wide. And likewise here, starting from 0, if you're going down, that is the height dimension. You will see that as you move your mouse pointer inside the image, you will see a small pointer on the ruler, and you will see that it's going down to 3607 pixels. So this image is 4668 by 3607 pixels. So to resize this image, all you need to do is to just simply grab one of these handles. I'm going to grab the corner handle and then just simply drag it. So as you keep dragging this down, you will see a change in the dimensions of the image. So you can just keep going till such time that you are happy and satisfied with the dimension that you want. So in this case, I'm going down, and maybe settle at around 1201 by 928. You will notice that as you're moving this corner handle, and as the width changes, the height is changing automatically. If you want this image to be at a specific dimension, let us say, for example, 1280 by 720, you can just simply click on this button to unlink the height with the width, and then you can just simply come here and enter those exact dimensions right here, 1280 by 720. It will permit you to do that, and then you can click on this back once again. In this case, I'm just going to leave it like this, and I'd like you to make a note of this dimension right here, 1201 and 928. So once you have reached the dimensions that you want to resize or rescale your image to, just come down here and click on scale. So when you do that, the image is now scaled to that particular dimension, you can just come here to the image menu and click on this option here, fit canvas to layer. So it will just simply shrink this entire canvas to the size of the layer, which is the photograph itself. So let's just come here and click on this, fit canvas to layers. And you will now see that your image is resized. And there's a little magnifying glass symbol at the end. So just double click on it and you will see your image occupying the entire window. So once you are done with this, all you need to do is just simply go ahead and export this image. So I'm going to come here to File and just go ahead and click on Export. When you try to save this image, you will notice that by default, GIMP tries to save this image in the XCF format, which is the default format of GIMP itself. So we are not going to do that. Once we have resized this image, we are just going to come to File and just choose Export As. So when you click on this, you will see a dialog. And by default, it is just using the extension that this image was originally in. So this was a JPEG image. So it's having the JPG extension. But if you want to change this to something different like PNG, you can just come here and click on this and choose from a wide variety of image formats. And PNG is one of them. You just have to scroll down a little bit and you will see PNG as one of the options. You can also save it as WebP, which is the Google's image format. In this case, I'm going to leave it just as it is. So if you wanted to change the format of this image, let us say, for example, to a PNG format, instead of selecting from here, what you can also do is just simply change the extension to .png. You can just type it here and the image will then be saved as a PNG file. So I'm not going to change the format. I'm going to keep it as a JPEG file. So let's save this in a different folder. So I'm going to just come here and click on Create Folder and call it Resized, just to make sure that we don't overwrite our original image, and enter. So I'm now saving to a new folder and this is called as Resized. You can name it anything that you want. So having done that, we are just going to go ahead and save this resized image as a JPEG image. Let us just call this Fishing Boats 1, as we will try out a few other things, .jpg. And let's come here and click on the export button. So when you do that, you are shown another dialog. And here you can alter the quality of the image. So currently it is set to high quality. The default is 90%. And because JPG is a lossy format, it gives you very high compression, but at the loss of some picture quality. But one of the great advantages of JPG is that you can alter this quality. So for the time being, we will just leave it like this, the default options, and just simply come here and click on export. So we are leaving the quality at 90, the default, and just coming here and clicking on export. So when you do this, your image is saved. And let's head back now here to our folder. And you will see that a new folder has been created, resized. This is our original image. And you will recall that this had dimensions of 4668 and 3607, and it had a size of 3.59 MB. So let us go to the resize folder and see the dimensions of our resized image. So when you hover your mouse on top of this image, you will see that the dimensions are now 1201 by 928. And the size of this image is now 409 KB. So you can imagine the kind of reduction in size that has happened from 3.59 MB to 409 KB. Let's try this one more time. And what we are going to do now is to save this once again, File, and Export As. So we are going to go ahead and save it as JPEG. The only thing that I'm going to do now is just to change the name of this file. I'm going to save it as fishingboats2.jpg, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the export button. This will also be saved in the resized folder. So I'm going to hit the export button here, and you will see that the same dialog appears again. And this time around, I'm going to slide this down and bring it to about 70. So I'm reducing the quality a little bit. If you click this on, that is the show preview in image window, you will not only see the size of this image that is going to be saved, you will also see how the image looks in this particular window. You can move this around. And if you were to just drag this to the last option, you will see that the image has degraded very substantially. So this is not acceptable. But if we are to move this slider to about 70 or 75%, you will see that you can hardly notice the difference in the image if you are using it for online displays like a blog post or a website. So we are going to go ahead and click on the export button, and the image is now saved in our folder. And as you already know, this is now 218 kilobytes. When you click on this to see this image, the image looks hardly any different from the original image. So just imagine with the resize, you have also reduced the size of this image from 3.59 megabytes to 218 kilobytes. Let me show you another way in which you can resize images. You have some more options if you use that way. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to restart all over again. I'm going to click on File and Close All and discard the changes that I have made because I've already saved my files. And I'm going to come back to my tutorial photos folder and pick this image and drop it here. So we are starting afresh. Just go ahead and click on Convert. And we are having the original image with us now again. So instead of clicking on this scale tool, what you can also do is you can go to Image and you can choose Scale Image. And when you do that, you have a few more options that you can exercise. As you can see here, the original image is 4668 by 3607 pixels. And we can directly type the dimensions inside this box. The dimension that we were working with in the last image was 1201. And as you move your pointer into the height box, you will immediately see that the height automatically changes. If you wanted to type in a particular dimension, you will have to come here and click on this button here and unlink the width with the height, and then you can just come here and type in the dimensions like 1280 by 720. So you can enter specific dimensions by unlinking the height with the width, and you can work in many different units. For example, we are currently working in pixels. We can choose other units as well. What is available on this dialog is also the resolution. If you are using an image to display on a monitor for online viewing, 72 by 72 pixels per inch is quite okay. So you don't need to change that at all. But if you plan to print this image, then the acceptable resolutions for printing start with 300. So 300 is the acceptable resolution for printing. So if you're printing this image after resizing this image, you will have to set the resolution to 300. Two images can have the exact same dimensions, but different resolutions in pixels per inch. You have some options here for interpolation because as you're changing size, it'll resample the image. We'll leave it at cubic, but there are some other options. In most part, this works quite well. So you can set this dimension to anything that you want by mentioning the specific dimensions in the width and height after you have pressed on this button and disconnected the width from the height. We can go ahead and press scale. And once this has been done, you can double click on this. So you will see that the dimensions of this image have changed a little bit. You have to be a little careful when you do this because the image stretches in a slightly abnormal manner. Then you can just come here and click on File and Export as. Change this to a different name such that we can compare, export, and we can bring down the quality to about 60 just for the sake of trial. And usually anything above 60 is okay. Just go ahead and click on export, and your image is now saved here again. And you can see that this dimension is a little bit different from the previous dimension. And this is 1280 by 720. The previous ones were 1201 by 928. So when you click on this, you will see that there is hardly any difference that you can see in terms of the quality. The image is stretched a little bit, but that is what we did this time. So you can actually rescale and resize to any dimension that you want using the scale tool or the image and scale image option in GIMP. So like you can reduce the size of an image, you can also enlarge it if it is so required. And let's try that out as well. So for this, I'm going to use another image, and this is inside the enlarge example file folder. Just click on this folder, and we will just pick up this image and drop it here. And the same question is being asked. We'll choose convert. And if you were to choose the scale tool, like we had done before, and click on this image, you will see that this image is 640 by 428 in size. So previously we reduced the size of this image. Can we enlarge this image? The answer is absolutely yes. Using the exact same technique, you can change the size. But remember, whenever you are enlarging an image, you are manipulating it in a slightly bad way because you want to include more pixels than what were recorded by the camera. And your image can distort very substantially. So you'll have to see what works for you. But yes, you can enlarge the image. And sometimes this is needed when you are actually printing an image and you want the printed image to fit a standard photo frame size. So using the same technique, you can just simply type in an enlarged dimension and just go ahead and click on scale. The image will be enlarged. You can also change the units, say for example in inches. So now you can see the dimensions of this image in inches. You can see that it is 8.889 inches by 5.944 inches. And this is not the dimension of a standard photo frame. The rulers here are still in pixels. So if you want to change the units of the rulers, you can just come here and click on this button right here and change it to inches. So you can now see that the ruler units are also in inches. So this is about 9 inches by 6 inches. Now a standard photo frame is, say for example, 10 by 8 inches. So if we wanted to enlarge this, we can come here and enter 10 and enter 8. This is a standard photo dimension, and we can just come here and click on scale. And we can come to image and fit canvas to theirs, and then just come here and double click it to fill the entire window. It gives you a better vision. And then you can just come and export as we have done before. And this is the enlarged version of the helicopter file. So I'm naming it helicopter1.jpg and hitting the export button. And then just simply going ahead and not altering the quality, just go ahead and click on the export button. And you can see here that this is the enlarged version of that particular image. It is 720 by 576 pixels, or 10 inches by 8 inches in size. And when you click on this, you can see this image. But when you're enlarging an image, you have to be very careful because the image can pixelate very quickly. So you have to see what works for you. But you can enlarge an image like this very, very easily. You can also crop an image inside GIMP. Just simply choose the crop tool. You click on this and choose the area that you want to crop and press enter. And the image is now cropped. You can just come here and click on file and export as and save the image, the cropped image. So this is how you can rescale, resize, enlarge and crop images inside GIMP. So very quickly, let's look at another situation. Let's say you have this image. This is the image that we have used before. 4668 by 3607, and the size of this image is 3.59 MB. What if you wanted to reduce only the file size? You did not want to resize the dimension. Well, this is a JPEG file, as you can see. So we can do that quite easily. Just simply bring the file inside GIMP, convert, and this time around we are not going to resize. We are not going to do anything using the scale tool. All we need to do is to just come to File and straight away export. And we will call this Fishing Boats 1 just to see the difference. And export. And because this is a JPEG file, you have this slider here. So we can bring it down to about 65 and then just simply go ahead and export. So we haven't really resized this image. We have only reduced the quality of the image and export. So when you come back here and have a look at this, you will find that this image was 3.59 MB and the dimensions were 4668 by 3607. This image has the exact same dimensions because we haven't resized this image, but the size of this image is 1.96 MB. Now, what happens if you have a PNG file instead of a JPEG file? Can you reduce the size of a PNG file without touching its dimensions? Yes, you can, but the technique is a little bit different. So let me just show this to you. I have a PNG file in the PNG example file folder here. Just click on this, grab it and drop it inside GIMP and convert. So we have this PNG file. We want to reduce its size, but we don't want to reduce its dimensions. Of course, if you wanted to reduce the dimension of this file, you can always touch the scale tool and then do as we have seen before. But in this particular case, we just want to reduce the size of the file without touching the dimensions. The only difference is that this is a PNG file. Now, the PNG format is a lossless format. It is not like JPG. So you don't have that quality slider when you want to export it. So what we will do here is we will come to the image menu and then go to the mode option. And instead of RGB, we will just choose index. So when you click on this, you have a small menu. You don't have to touch anything. So you can just leave whatever value comes here. It really doesn't matter. So instead of the RGB color model, we are now using the indexed color model. And the difference between the two is that this is a very limited color model, but you will be surprised that when you will actually look at this photograph, you will not be able to spot a difference. So for most cases, this works perfectly fine. Just hit convert. So now this has been changed into the indexed color model. And we will now go to File and Export As. And this time around, we are just going to come here and call this as tanker1.png just to see the difference. And then we will hit Export. You will see a menu and we have to do absolutely nothing on this menu. If you so desire, you can uncheck all of these. This will further reduce the file size by a small amount, but I think you can just leave it as it is. Don't touch the compression level because this is not going to help. It's not the same as the quality thing in the JPG menu. So just come here and click on Export. And we will just come here and see that Tanker1 has been created. So as you can see, the original file that we had loaded in GIMP had a file size of 5.61 MB. And the dimensions were 1903 by 1427. This is the version that we have created. And you can see the dimensions are exactly identical as the previous one, but the file size has come down to 1.59 MB. So this is a major reduction in the PNG file, 5.61 MB to 1.59 MB. And if you were to just see both of these images, it will be very difficult for you to spot the difference. So I'm just going to see this in a photo viewer. So this is our original file, as you can see here. Just simply move forward. And you will see this is the converted file, 5.61 MB. So you can barely spot the difference, if at all, in these two files. And this is how you can reduce the file size of a PNG file without changing its dimensions. Now let's turn our attention to bulk processing. Let's say we have a folder full of images and we wanted to bring them all to the same size. That is, instead of individually resizing each image, we can decide on a dimension and then we would like to bring all of these images to that particular dimension. So to do that, we will take the help of the BIMP plugin that we installed earlier. So we can access the BIMP plugin by going to File and then clicking on this particular option that becomes available after the installation of the BIMP plugin. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and you will see a small dialog appearing in front of you. So there are two parts to this dialog. In the first part, we will add the images that we want to resize inside this particular dialog box. So we can just come here and click on Add Images. It provides us three options. We can choose to add single images, one or more than one images, or we can point to a folder that has a large number of images. In this particular case, I have 7 images, but you could have 70 images or 700 images inside the folder. It really doesn't matter. So you can just go ahead and choose a particular folder. And if you have opened a few images inside GIMP, you can add all those opened images into the batch image manipulation plugin input files window. So in this particular case, we will process an entire folder. I'm going to click on this. So it asks me to choose a folder. I'm going to go ahead and choose the tutorial photos folder and add. So when I do this, you will see that all the images in the tutorial folder have been added to this particular box. When I click on any one of these images, you will see that image here in this small preview window. And then if you click on another one, that image is going to change. So these are all the images that are available in the tutorial photo images folder. They have all been added. And all I did was to just simply provide the location of the folder. So once these images are inside, we will now add the processing that we want BIMP to do on these images. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this Add button. So there are quite a few options that you can choose. You can crop, you can flip and rotate, and so on and so forth. And one of the great things about this plugin is that you can actually build a full workflow of image processing. It is not just confined to one single operation. So in this particular case, I'm going to first demonstrate the resize operation. I'm going to come here and click on resize. And you have a few options right here. So it starts with a %. So if you want to reduce these images by a particular %, you can do that. Otherwise, what you can do is you can just click on this and change this to pixels. Also change this to pixels once again. And let us use the same dimensions that we had used to resize the image earlier in the tutorial, the boat's image. So I'm going to use the same dimensions, that is 1201 by 928. You can fill in anything that you want. So there are a few options here that can be used in the aspect ratio. I think it's best to leave it at stretch because when you're bringing images to a common dimension, a little bit of stretching might be needed. You can also preserve the aspect, in which case all the images may not end up with this exact same size. They may be around this particular figure, but then they will maintain the original aspect. And if you had a mix of portrait or large and small images, and if you're bringing them to a common size, if you were to choose the pad option, it would fill all empty areas within this particular size frame with some color like black or whatever else. So it gives you that particular option. In this case, I'm going to just choose stretch. We will also leave the interpolation as cubic. This works perfectly fine in most cases. So just come here and hit OK. So this manipulation has been added. If you want to edit this, you can always come and click on this. So you'll be taken back and you can make some corrections. Say, for example, if you wanted to make this 1200 or whatever else, you can make those corrections and press OK again. So anytime that you want to make any corrections to what you have chosen before, just click on this and choose Edit Properties. And if you want to remove this, you can always choose Remove this manipulation. So in this case, I have added one manipulation. And now what's happening is that because we have added the manipulation, if we click on an image and then double click on this preview, it will show you exactly what the new image is going to be like. after the processing is complete. So you can click on an individual image and it will show you how the original image is going to change to the new image for each of these images inside that particular folder. So this is just a small preview. For most of them, you might find very little difference, but for some of them, you will find that there is slight difference in terms of what the new image is going to be, depending upon their original size. So these are some of the options that you can exercise, and we can add more options here, which I'll demonstrate in a short while from now. You will notice that this is an output folder. So I'm going to set this output folder. I'm just going to come here and click and choose this as my resize folder inside the tutorial photos folder. So that's my resized folder. And this is where all the new images are going to fall. So once we are all set, we have a manipulation, we have the files that we are manipulating, and we will just come here and click on apply. So the resizing process in bulk has now started, and you will see that it's just going to pick up every single image inside that folder, 7 or 700, it doesn't matter. You'll just pick up an image, apply this processing, and then write the file in the output folder. Then it's going to pick up the next image, apply this manipulation, and then write the file in the output folder. And it will keep going till the last file inside this particular folder. So I'm going to come here and close this, and I can just come here and have a look at my resized folder. So the dimensions are exactly what we had specified, 1201 by 928. Same here. Exactly same here. The same here. Same on this one as well. 1201 by 928. 1201 by 928. So you can see how quickly we were able to resize a bunch of files here, and we were able to apply the resize operation to all the files inside this folder and get our output with all the images in new dimensions that were specified. Let's now go and see some other operations that are available from the BIM plugin. I'm going to come here and click on File and click on BIM Image Manipulation. And I'll show you some of the other manipulations that are available from the Add button here. Let us first add some images. So I will just click on this button, and let me just come here and click on single image just to show you these operations. You can always click on a bunch of images by selecting the folder. So let me just come here and let me choose one photograph. So I've just chosen one single photograph for the purposes of demonstration. Just add that particular image here. This image has been chosen. And let us come here and quickly see, apart from resize, you can do crop. When you click on this, this is the dialog that you will see. You can come here and choose so many different kinds of aspects. Let us say, for example, I wanted to have a widescreen aspect. So I can just come here and click on this. And what this is going to do is it'll crop from the center of the image and will try to go to the edges till the point that this is not broken. So it will try its best to include the entire photograph, or otherwise keep going to the point where this format is not broken and then crop. You can always choose an exact crop area, but then I'm going to just come here and crop by standard aspect ratio or crop to a standard aspect ratio. And you can choose how the crop will work. I'm choosing from the center towards outside. And let's just go ahead and click on OK. And then just go ahead and choose resize as the output folder and go ahead and press apply. So when you do this, you will see this image appear here, and it has cropped this image to a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, and maybe some part of this image has been cropped out to maintain that particular aspect ratio. So if this is what you are looking for, you can get it through the crop option here. There are many things that you can choose from, and you can experiment with some of these. I'm going to delete this from my resize folder such that I can show you a few other things. we are still maintaining that particular image. And let me just come here and remove this manipulation and add another one. You can flip or rotate. I need not explain this. Just click on this and you can flip horizontally, vertically. Okay. And then just simply apply. So if you had a bunch of images inside a folder, all of those images will then be automatically flipped or rotated. So every operation that I'm showing you, you can actually add an entire folder of images, and the operation that you specify here will then be applied to all the images inside that particular folder. So let's just click on this and see color correction. So you can apply color correction to a large number of images inside a particular folder. For example, you could increase the brightness and contrast, and it's going to pick up all the images and apply this color correction to all the images. Let me choose a slightly simpler and more dramatic example such that I can show you what's happening. Let's just come here and choose automatic color level correction and click on OK. And when we click on this to see the preview, you will see that this is how the correction will be applied. On the left hand side is the original image, and after the color correction, the automatic color correction, this is what the image is going to look like. So I'm going to close this and just go ahead and click on apply. The image has now been saved inside my resized folder. And when I come here and open this image, you will see that this image is much brighter as compared to the original image. So let me rename this image, the one that has received the color correction, as Sailboats 1. And let me paste the original image right here. So you can see the difference between the two. I will just click to view this in a photo viewer. And this is the uncorrected image. And this is the image to which the color correction has been applied. And you can see the difference between the two. So you can apply a color correction to a large number of images in one go by using this particular manipulation, that is the color correction manipulation, and choosing automatic color levels, or otherwise setting the brightness and contrast to your preference level, or otherwise also exploring some of the other options that are available here. So let me just clean this out such that we can see the next one as well. And I'm going to come here and remove this manipulation and add, you can sharpen or blur an image. Say, for example, the image that we have selected. So if we wanted this image to be a little more blurred, let us say, for example, to be the background of a slide or something like that, then just simply go ahead and press apply. So you will see that we now have a new image, and this image is considerably blurred. If you wanted to have less blur, we can always come here and reduce this blur to something that is very minimal, and then go ahead and press apply. I can then just come here and see the level of the blur has now reduced. So we can apply the blur or the sharpen manipulation. Let me just remove this and let's have a look at a few others. You can add a watermark, for example. Just come here and write something. Say, for example, a little piece of text. You can increase the size of this text. Let us say we'll make it 24, for example, and you can choose a color. Let me say I want to make it white. So you can choose it from here. You can also choose where the watermark is going to appear. Top center, bottom center, in the middle of the image, or wherever, on the sides, etc. So I'm going to choose the top center. And what is the distance of this watermark from the edge? So let us say, for example, if I make this 20 pixels from the edge, and I can also decide on the opacity. So whether I want the letters to be solid or whether I want them to be a little transparent, I can use this slider. I can also add an image watermark from here, and you can change the size of it. So a lot of things that you can do. Let's go ahead and click on OK, and just go ahead and press apply. If you want to see how this is going to look, you can just click this here, and you will see that a little watermark has now appeared on the top center of the image. To see this properly, let's just click on apply. I'm going to override this file and come back here and see this. So you will see that a watermark has been applied to this particular image. in the top center, 20 pixels away from the edge. I'm going to remove this manipulation and let us see the next one. With this, you can change the format of one or a folder full of images. Say, for example, we have all these images inside this particular folder as JPEG images. Let me just clear this out. I'm just canceling this. I'm removing this one single image that I had selected. And this time around, I'm just coming here and adding a folder. And this is going to be my tutorial photos folder in which I have my 6 images. I'm going to come here and add all those images. Then just come here and click on change format and compression. So these files are JPEG. I can just come here and convert all of them to, let us say, for example, PNG files or WebP files. Let me choose WebP files. And I can decide on the quality of the files, the transparency and everything. So let's just go ahead and click on OK. The output folder is resized. So I'm going to come here and click on apply. If you want to bulk convert the format of files from, say, JPEG to PNG or JPEG to WebP or whatever else, you can actually do that quite easily. The resized folder is now having WebP files, which are usually very small in size, as you can see. This was 3.59 MB, this is now 1.33 MB. So all these files are very small files, and they are very suitable for online viewing, etc. So this is how you can batch convert files from one format to another format using the change format compression option of the BIMP plugin. So I'm going to let these files remain inside the resized folder for a bit, and we can try out the next manipulation. I'm going to remove this manipulation add, and we can try this bulk rename option with a pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. So as you can see, you can bulk rename images. These images are named differently. For example, car, cove, fishing boats. Sometimes you need to have names with incremental numbers or whatever. So the $2 signs here, they represent the original file name, and the 2 hash signs represent an incremental number. So the idea here is that if I do $, and then after that, if I put 2 hashes, the names of these files will change to car1, cove 2, fishing boats 3, marina 4. The 2 hashes will insert an incremental number in front of the original file. And if I add 2 @ signs, it will also then add the current date and time in this particular format. So it's going to be a big file name that would probably read as car1 and the year, month and date and hour and minute. So the next file will be cove2 and then the date and time and so on and so forth. What you can also do is that you can come here and give this a name. So I'm calling this pick, and then I can just simply come here and use 2 hashes. So what I'm trying to do here is to rename all my files inside a folder as pick1, pick2, pick3, pick4, pick5, and so on and so forth. Let's try this out. I'm going to come here and click on OK. And then I'm just going to come here and click on apply. So it's processing. And as you can see, by the time it finishes, you will have a second set of files which are having different names. As you can see here, pick1, pick2, pick3, pick4. And it has not touched the original files. It has just simply created a copy and renamed the copies as pick1, pick2, pick3. And you can see that this is happening because you provided this name and followed by an incremental number. So you can bulk rename depending upon how you want your files to be renamed. So I'm going to remove this manipulation and clear this folder out such that we can see one last effect that we can apply here. You will notice that the last option here is other GIMP procedures. So GIMP has a large number of procedures. And if you were aware of what these procedures actually do, you can actually choose one of these procedures and the BIMP plugin will then apply those procedures. to these selected images. Let's now quickly have a look at how we can add multiple manipulations to a set of images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here on click, and let us say we will choose crop, and we will just say we'll do a widescreen crop, and this is going to be from the center. So this is our first manipulation that we will do to these selected images. Then I'm going to come here and add one more. In this particular case, I'm going to do a color correction, and I will just automatically color correct the file. So first it is going to crop, then it is going to do a color manipulation by applying an automatic color level correction as we have seen before on the single image. Then we'll add one more, and let's say we want to change the format and compression. So let's say we want to convert all the JPEG files to WebP files and have a quality of about 70. And okay, so this is the third manipulation that we have added here. And let's add one more and say we'll put a watermark here. And let us just say watermark. And choose a font size. Let us say 24 and about 20 from the edge. Let's put it at the top center of the image. Let's choose the color as say yellow or blue. I'm just doing this for the purposes of demonstration so that everything becomes visible. And we will just go ahead and say okay. So you will see now that we have created a workflow for all these images. It'll pick up the first image. It'll first apply the crop. Then it'll apply the color correction. Then it'll change the format from JPG to WebP. And then finally, it's going to place a watermark. We can continue and add more, but we have created a workflow rather than have just one single manipulation. We have created a workflow wherein 4 manipulations will be applied to each image, and the image will then be saved inside this resize folder. So let's go ahead and see. We'll crop, color correct, change the format to WebP, and then apply a watermark to each of these images inside the folder. If there were 700 images inside this folder, these 4 operations will be applied to each one of those images. Let's just go ahead and press apply. And so this might take a little time depending upon how many images it has to process, but it is applying these 4 manipulations to each of the images inside the tutorial photo folder. And you can see that it has done the same with 0 errors. When we come here and hover a mouse on top of these, you will see that it's a WebP file, and it is maintaining the 16:9 aspect ratio. In many cases, the size is exactly the same, but in this particular case, the size is original size, but the aspect is 16:9, and the size has come down from some 5.59 MB to 0.99 MB. And color corrections have also been applied to all the images. As you can see here and recall, the boards are appearing much brighter, and we had seen how automatic color correction works on this particular photograph. So let's just go ahead and see these in a photo viewer, and you will see that there is also a watermark. So all these images have received the same treatment, and they have been converted using multiple manipulations. So what you can also do is, when you click on add, you will notice that you can save this set of operations. So if you need this sequence of operations for images in other folders in the future, you can save this set, choose the folder, and give a name. And then just go ahead and click on save. It will be saved as a .bimp file. So this file has now been saved. And let's say, for example, we close this window and we come on another date and start BIMP, and we are adding the folder, some other folder, and we want the same set of manipulations to come here, the same workflow. So we can just come here and click on load set and go to that particular folder. You will see that this file is there. Just click on it and go ahead and press open. So you will see the same set of operations restored. And then all you need to do is to just go ahead, choose an output folder and apply. And the same set of operations will then be done on the images inside this particular folder. So this is how you can use the batch image manipulation plugin to resize, rescale, crop, reformat a large number of images inside a folder and apply a series or sequence of manipulations on each image inside this particular folder. So this is how you can use the free and open source image editing program GIMP to easily and quickly resize and rescale one or many images in just a few seconds. GIMP is an open source equivalent to Photoshop. Because it's a graphic manipulation program, the interface might look intimidating at the beginning because GIMP can do many other things. In this video though, I have just confined myself to show you only those options that are directly related to rescaling, resizing, and cropping images. So go ahead and give it a try. I hope you found this video informative and useful. Please share the video with anyone whom you think might find it useful. Many thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.